All right. It is 6:30 in the East, 5:30 in the Central. Everywhere else has to figure it out. This is episode 2 of Hoops Hysteria on the Zilla Sports Network. I am your fearless host, Spartan Zilla, coming at you, rocking the ZSN gear. Ooh, yeah, crazy day in the NBA today with the big trade with James Harden switching teams, going from Houston to the Nets. Karis LeVert finding his way to Indy through Houston. Victor Oladipo getting down to Houston. So just a crazy day. We'll dig into that, that bit of madness in the NBA later on in the show. For those that didn't watch last week, and we got some new people in there. Love it, love my man. I see you in there. I appreciate it. Appreciate the love. For those who have not been familiar with the way we do things here at ZSN, for this live show before lock, for those that are playing DFS, Daily Fantasy Sports for the uninitiated, we try to do once a week, and we'll see how things go. If there's a lot of likes, people like, subscribe, follow the channel. If you all are into what I'm putting out there in content, we'll do another live show throughout the week. But we basically break down the slate kind of with an overview. We go position by position with just a few of my key plays there, position by position. Go over a little bit of strategy on how you may want to attack a night like this. We give you the infamous Zilla's crew. Much love to my guy, Kenny, who came up with a concept for our fans over in Discord. And then we handle some Q&A, get you right up till lock, 7 o'clock in the East. And we keep it moving here with Zilla Sports Network. As always, we are, obviously you found us here on YouTube, so we have the YouTube channel. We've got Instagram. We've got Twitter. And then for those that become members, we're up in Discord. And we're doing big things, I'll be quite candid. The start of the NBA season was kind of sporadic for me, from a DFS perspective. Didn't get the kind of results I was looking for. Doing a lot of content, for those members that we have in Discord. I mean, I'm putting out sheets and graphs and all that good stuff. At least sheets and concepts and talking through things with people. So we weren't doing. I think I was bifurcated in terms of process and all that stuff. Just kind of stripped it down a little bit, listened to a couple of guys, in the industry who've been, talking about kind of the game of DFS, which sometimes gets lost in the shuffle. So kind of just stripped down the process a little bit. Was kicking it here on a Sunday. My beloved Pistons were on the slate, kind of the mini slate. Threw a $1.25 in, came in on top, almost a G. Took down 2 GPPs, took the quarter GPP and the dollar GPP. So, I mean, we not that anyone needs my my credentials, but I mean, I've been doing this. We've had success with the people that have been following us, so I just want to kind of continue to do that. Make sure everybody, gets that same level of success in their DFS journey. And remember, it's a journey, and make sure you have enough to kind of play all the way through, and you're not, bankrupt trying to take down these tournaments. Just have a thought process behind your play, and again, figure out what your goal is. If you're doing it for entertainment, cool. Maybe just throw a couple bucks here and there. If you're doing it for another revenue source of income, make sure you're structured and you approach it almost the way you would like a stock portfolio, and not go too high or too low. Just know there's going to be some swings in there, but just build on your process. So I wanted to share that a little bit that. Back on the wagon here. Got the GPP takedown. Posted that on Twitter for people so they can see that. And always want to share successes. All right, let's dig in. This slate is crazy, right? This slate is crazy with the cancellation of the Phoenix game, with the big trade. So that puts a team like Brooklyn, at a distinct disadvantage in some respects, with only about, I think, 8 players that'll dress tonight. So as we get into the strategy part of today's slate, we'll talk about that a little bit. Let's go position by position. Let's start at point guard, kind of where I'm at. 3 of the top guys that I'm looking at on a night like this, obviously my man Luka Doncic. Now, He's got the zinger coming back. Kristaps Porzingis is back and will be playing. I didn't see the minutes restriction thing on him, but I can't imagine they're going to run him full board, this first game back. So you're looking at probably like 20, 25 minutes on KP. So that's going to take away some of the usage from my man Luka the Don. So, but he's still, on a slate like this, you lose a Chris Paul, you lose a Trae Young. Give me Luka there at point guard on both sides. You're gonna have to pay up for him, so you're gonna have to get creative. But with all this Brooklyn value, you have the ability to roster Luka, and it should be no problem at all to fit him in your lineups. Obviously, King LeBron going beast mode into his MVP situation. He is playing really well in the early season. I always find it funny with the Lakers and how they're treating this season coming off the title. He's questionable every day. LeBron's questionable every game. He's questionable. And just looking at what happens, 95% of the time, this guy's going to play. And I just got the update 2 minutes ago. LeBron is in the lineup for tonight. Shock to nobody. Yeah, it's shocking nobody. LeBron's going to be questionable all season long. It's an ankle. That guy's like a Terminator. Nothing phases LeBron. So knew he was going to play. Looks like Anthony Davis is going to play as well. So definitely like LeBron more than AD on this slate. He's got the flexibility on DraftKings where he can play point guard or small forward. Like him at either spot. We'll go with point guard for our breakdown here on DK, because I know a lot of my members are DK players. So like LeBron as well. And another guy who, man, started the season kind of down, but maybe, sometimes when someone's coming for your job, you get a little, woo, what I'm saying? You get a little in your feelings. And so De'Aaron Fox was Sacramento going up against Portland. We know historically Portland doesn't play defense. You got Dame and CJ who are great players, but they don't scare me on the defensive end at all. So give me De'Aaron Fox, who's really come on. I think he smells Tyrese Halliburton on his backside. So all of a sudden now De'Aaron wants the ball. So De'Aaron Fox for me, a really good play, really affordable on both sides on this Wednesday slate. Let's shift it over to shooting guard. CJ McCollum, trying to steal some shine from Dame Dollar. It's just kind of crazy here. CJ playing at an MVP level himself for Portland, filling up the stat sheet. His DraftKings points, averaging almost 50 DraftKings points. The guy is on fire this season. Really more efficient as a shooter than even Dame Lillard. So CJ McCollum all day long on this slate on both sides, especially like on FanDuel, kind of the way shooting guard breaks down over there. Paul George, all indications he's going to play. I mean, you always got to be watching for PG-13 and what the Clippers want to do. But Paul George, to me, real strong play. Clippers are a very interesting team in terms of you have those two superstars in him and Kawhi, and maybe PG is on the fringe of superstardom. But for our purposes, for DFS, Paul George, to me, definitely a viable play on this slate. And like I said, on the fringe of being a superstar. And actually, really, when you consider the crazy injury he suffered in his career, he's really exceeded expectations coming off that. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, another piece that's usable for the Thunder, does everything for them. He's only point guard eligible on DraftKings, but definitely can use him at shooting guard on FanDuel. So like him a lot. And then my guy, I just talked about him when I was talking about the Kings, Tyrese Halliburton. I mean, the kid could give buckets in college. He's getting buckets now. He's a big part of the rotations. If you check out any of those sites that talk about NBA rotations, Halliburton getting all sorts of love and all sorts of run for crazy old Luke Walton, kind of maybe smoking that stuff as dad smoking with some of the way he runs a program over there in Sacramento. But Halliburton for me, very viable. Going to roster him a lot. Late slate, fill him in my builds. I like Tyrese Halliburton as a player. Eventually, I think Sacramento might deal Fox, even though they just laced him with a big contract, and let Halliburton run the show. So watch for that, because crazy things are happening as we see today with the big trade. Let's move over to small forward again for FanDuel. Let's put King James there. as one of my top plays on FanDuel. Looking at the other two sites, or looking at, DraftKings and FanDuel. Brandon Ingram for me, no Zion tonight. He's in the health and protocol situation going on with COVID, so no Zion. So give me Ingram. A guy I like who I thought was washed, and I was like, what is MJ doing signing this guy to a contract? But he said, shut up, Zilla. You don't know what you're talking about. That's Gordon Hayward. And all day long, the Hornets, for me, are going to be a team you want to roster most of the season. We'll get into another sleeper, and we kind of passed this position. But, we'll go into it right now because I'm really impressed with this kid, LaMelo Ball, just really doing work. From a stats perspective, which is what we care about for daily fantasy, I mean, LaMelo is just filling up the stat sheet. Triple-double at 19 years old. The kid is amazing. So I don't mind LaMelo on both sites as well, too. So I should probably add him in the point guard mix as well. But going back to Gordon Hayward, playing like a superstar, playing like a guy that deserves that contract, really a viable play on both sites. He's probably priced efficiently on both sites, but I don't mind. I don't mind Hayward. He's often not owned as much as he should be. So give me some Gordon Hayward as well. And then obviously the claw, Kawhi Leonard, looks like he's going to play. I'm not hearing anything differently. He played the back-to-back for the first time in about 3 years, a couple games ago there. So Kawhi also very viable. I prioritize, LeBron, definitely Ingram with no Zion and no Lonzo. So you get some point Ingram today. And Hayward, prioritize those small forwards. A sleeper with all, this value that has opened up is Joe Harris at small forward for the Nets. Joe Harris, just likes to shoot. There's only 8 guys today, so the rotation is going to be real thin. He's going to get a lot of minutes, probably 35, 38 minutes. He's going to jack shots. So Joe Harris, very viable piece as well at small forward. Let's keep it moving over to power forward. The guy, Kevin Durant, who's going to have to take some leadership, with Kyrie doing Kyrie-type things, and now James Harden. The thing with Harden, he can be so close to New York City, strip clubs nearby. I mean, what is Harden going to do with that sort of temptation just over the bridge? So we'll see how that all works out. But for tonight, KD, one of the top plays because he's going to get all the minutes he needs. Not that minutes are usually an issue for him anyway, but KD is just going to go nuclear tonight with what he's got going on from a perspective of only eight Brooklyn Nets suiting up today. AD, we talked about. I prefer LeBron over AD in this one. AD for me is going to flip. Probably there's no All-Star game this year, but probably when we get into like February, March, as maybe LeBron throttles down a little bit, AD is kind of more of a viable play later in the year for me. He's still viable, but if I got to pick one of the two, because you can't play everybody, I'm playing LeBron for daily fantasy purposes. Giannis is on there. I mean, Giannis is what Giannis is. He has a high ceiling, decent floor, obviously. But he's so expensive. He doesn't excite me as a DFS play, and I feel like he's in the top mix of power forwards you want to use. But I go other directions than Mr. Giannis Antetokounmpo. Looking at a sleeper, you'll see a theme here with Charlotte, like PJ Washington. He has a little bit up and down, but generally his output this season has been up. He doesn't have too many duds in his game logs. The Hornets like him, like the minutes he provides, in their front court. And so PJ Washington, to me, a guy you can roster. Price is creeping up there. I'm going to still play him. He's about 6,400. I'm going to still play him. But I like what he can do and like what the Hornets team as a whole brings out. Moving over to center, I just got the update that Karl Anthony Towns, no minutes limit today. So fire up Cat for sure. Cat is definitely, when he's in the game, he can just do all sorts of things. I did have Jared Allen in my mix at first, but he's going up a couple my way. He's up there going to Cleveland ultimately. So looking at the rest of the center position, which is really thin, and we'll talk about that in my strategy piece here, but Mitchell Robinson, a play that I don't mind on this slate. Super talented guy. Yeah, not going to get, usage is very limited for him. The usage goes to Julius Randle and RJ Barrett. But Mitchell Robinson, give me a little bit of Mitch action on this slate. Looking at other center plays on the slate, a sleeper guy I like, and I guess it's no indictment of his ability. It's just like looking at the slate and what he can do. Mason Plumlee with the Detroit Pistons, they gave him the big contract. He's going to get 25 to 30 minutes in this game. So give me a little bit of Mason Plumlee on this slate. Don't mind him at all, coming in center. Obviously, a lot of people are going to gravitate to DeAndre Jordan now that he's probably going to be running center, especially tonight, sitting with 8 players, as I've talked about. The value in Brooklyn is sort of a no-brainer at this point. You can get all sorts of value with the Brooklyn plays. And so DeAndre Jordan, another viable piece. Looking at some of my FanDuel lineups, I've got Jordan in a couple of lineups I'm running over on FanDuel. Don't feel like you got to go to that value. You don't want to overload with every Brooklyn player, but KD, for sure. Maybe, like I said, Joe Harris. And we'll get into a couple more Brooklyn pieces later. But you don't want to overload with it because if you're trying to win a GPP, everyone's going to do that. So, don't do that. Do something a little different if you actually want to win. So, excuse me while I get that drink there. So that's kind of the position by position breakdown. Let's go into a little bit of the strategy for this. Again, I didn't really, when I was doing the show notes, didn't know all this value was going to just boom pop open here with this Brooklyn game. So, my note to you all was, get different in certain spots. A guy like LeBron, I think he can play confidently. A guy like KD, play confidently. A lot of people are going to play KD on this slate. But let's differentiate in some other spots, like go to a LaMelo Ball at point guard. You know what I mean? Go to a Tyrese Halliburton. Differentiate somewhere else, in your build. You can get chalky in certain spots. You just don't want a whole lineup of chalk, obviously. So differentiate there. One area that I think that you can differentiate today is, you can go all the way up to Karl-Anthony Towns. But again, Mason Plumlee, maybe DeAndre Jordan, but watching the ownership there. Maybe Mitchell Robinson. So paid maybe down at center today is a strategy I'm employing. Paying down at center, load up at shooting guard, and definitely maybe the mid range at point guard as well. And think about your build from that piece as well. One game that I'm really, really looking forward to. I got League Pass. Your boy Zilla has got League Pass, so I'll be watching this. And that's Portland and Sacramento. So I'm trying to load up on pieces there. You probably noted that from my discussion of Fox and Halliburton. But I also don't mind Harrison Barnes, who has had a resurrection in California's capital. And then you also have a guy like Marvin Bagley, who's going to play. We got to watch for Rashawn Holmes news. But even Hassan Whiteside and his bummy's tail, he could, he's low price center. I talk about paying down at center. Maybe you take a risk, put him in your lineup, especially on DraftKings. Both sides have the late swap, but you could put, Hassan Whiteside in center, and then it opens up the possibilities to your world if you put, some of these Kings players. But I really feel like high total game, Portland, Sacramento, I want a lot. Late night hammer. What I found in DFS, a lot of people get very, they want to see their numbers rise up between the 7 and 10 o'clock hour in the East. So they'll load up on these early games and they'll be sitting there, first, second in these GPPs. Woo, we're doing good. I like to come on a charge. I like the late night hammers, be it NFL, baseball, basketball, all that type of stuff, all those sports. I like to come from behind, and it really enhances my enjoyment. And a lot of people it's just like human nature. Everything is shifted on the East Coast in terms of mindset. So people often will forget all these great plays on the West Coast, especially for NBA. And a lot of times I'll play those West Coast slates, those late night slates. Love it. Detriment to my sleep, staying up to watch that. But, I think like a Portland, Sacramento definitely is game I'm looking at for tonight, for sure. So that's the strategy pieces of the thing. As always, we got to give you Zilla's crew. So I'm coming at you, Zilla's crew. Ultimately, I'm gonna, get some production value in this. We'll have some flying and stuff. It's gonna, we're starting off. ZSN started in September of 2020, so we are a fledgling outfit. Your boy here, Zilla, doing a lot of the work. But that's no excuse. We're gonna give you some high production value quality going forward. Just give us some time. We got it. I got other things to do. We can just give us some time. But Zilla's crew, again, my man Kenny came up with this concept. Love it. For today, it's in the crew. Again, you might not be able to fit the whole crew in a lineup, right? The crew is just some guys that I'm prioritizing in multiple builds. I'm not a big MME guy in terms of mass multi-entry. I'm not going to enter 150 lineups. I'm going to do like 5 lineups, right? So when I say Zilla's crew, these are the guys I'm prioritizing and sprinkling in the mix. Maybe I take 2 or 3 of these guys in the crew, but these are guys I want you to kind of focus on as you're thinking about the build. And we got 9 minutes before build, so hopefully you're not thinking too hard. So give me De'Aaron Fox in the crew, LeBron James, Brandon Ingram, my man Gordon Hayward, and Tyrese Halliburton. That is the crew for this Wednesday evening. And that's kind of where I'm at with slate overview, position by position, strategy, the crew. And as we like to do on the show, we got a live chat function on the right-hand side of your screen. In my screen, it's right-hand side. It might be in another part on your screen. Use the live chat function. Let's get it. I'm here to answer questions up to lock. I already got my lineup set, so I'm good. Like I'm not sweating it. I've got my news here. I'm good to go. I'm Gucci. So like, if you guys have questions, now's the time to ask them over in the chat function. Make sure you like the channel and subscribe to the channel as well, because we are trying to grow this thing big. You can say you were in on the ground floor of something that is really big. In the DFS industry, in the sports industry, we got all sorts of ideas about how we're going to expand this over the next 6 to 12 months. So, any questions? I see a lot of people out there watching, so I love it. If you have questions, put them for me in the live chat. Otherwise, we can. I will keep it open there. The crew, Kenny, we gotta get that wax out your ears, man. No, I know you. I'm just playing with you, but. Zilla's crew for this Wednesday night: De'Aaron Fox, LeBron James, Brandon Ingram, Gordon Hayward, Tyrese Halliburton. You know what? Let's put a CJ McCollum in there too. Again, you're not gonna fit all of the crew on one lineup. That's some of them are multiple positions, right? Like I've talked about 3 shooting guards or 3-point guards, but these are the guys that I'm really trying to prioritize in multiple lineups to put pieces on. If you're only playing one lineup, maybe you take two or 3 guys, probably 3 guys in one lineup from the crew. You build, like, you could probably get away with a Fox, LeBron, Ingram, and then build around that if you're doing one lineup. Or you could do, Ingram, Hayward, Halliburton, and Fox, and you can get a really good way, and then do the Brooklyn value, and you got a lineup right there. I know it's 7 minutes, so people are scrambling like Randall trying to fill this out. So. Any other questions? You think the Lakers will be a blowout? Yeah, potentially. Yep. Very interesting. Any questions from the crew here, from all you loyal listeners out there? You guys might be typing away and clicking away on your phones to try to get your roster going. So I do definitely appreciate that. I found, thinking about strategy and builds, I found that obviously you're going to be between 6 and 7 in the East, or maybe 6 and 7:30. You want to be, near your phone if you're going to bother playing DFS because of the late news and all that stuff. But generally throughout the week, or throughout the day, I should say, you should have your roster should be like 95%. So that way, if there's any kind of late breaking news, all right, you change it a little. You change it a little bit, right? But you have most of the kernel, the shell of your lineup built. You don't want to be messing around with your lineups, before lock. So many people are even if they're mass multi-entering, they're doing all this stuff and retweeting, recrunching. you got to have a plan in place. Just like in life, you got to have a plan in place. You ain't got a plan, you're done. So you don't want to be spending. We do this live before lock show at least once a week, so you can kind of see how my brain is working. But you want to have a really good idea, the sense of where you want to attack the slate. And if something, God forbid, a meteor hits and no LeBron, I mean, okay, well then you got to adjust to that. But mostly you should have a sense of the games you want to target beforehand, so you're not scrambling at the end. I see so many people like, I got to scramble, I got to recrunch, I got to, man, you don't got time for that. Most of us have lives and families and stuff. So we want to do this. Again, some of you are doing it for supplemental income, and I get that. But if you're I'd say 95% of us are doing this for entertainment, and you want to have fun, you want to be able to track the games and whatnot, have a plan in place and go for that, and be ready for most things, but have a plan in place beforehand. Don't be, like, I got to recrunch, I got to do that kind of stuff. And when I say recrunch, for those that don't know, that's using a tool, Fantasy Cruncher or Fantasy Labs. A lot of these places have, basically optimizers, and people like to do that for those that are just kind of new to the thing. All right. We got 4 minutes by my count. Anybody with any questions on the slate, on what happened with me on Sunday with respect to the GPP, any thought process there? Again, appreciate you guys listening. Subscribe to the channel, Zilla Sports Network here on Facebook. Go on Twitter, become a Twitter follower if you're not. Twitter, Instagram, and let's go ahead and make sure we hit that like button on this thing. We're going to grow this thing. You guys are on the early start, the startup phase. Think of this as those great companies, the startup phase. You guys are early adopters. Love to see it, man. Love to see it. Yeah, I love it. I love it, my man. Yeah, we are going to try to win all the money. That's going to be good. Lillard, McCollum, Fox, and Halliburton. You fit most of the crew, Kenny. Look at you. Kenny fit most of the crew right there. I mean, Lillard's the only iffy thing because I know he's probable tonight. But like I was mentioning, I think you might have missed that McCollum I prefer to Lillard right now, kind of where they're at. How do you play the single game? Oh, yeah, we can get into that. We'll get into it really quickly. My strategy for single game slates has been everyone's going to play. So let's open up real quick. We got time. Like I said, I'm not sweating lineups because I'm good to go. I'm Gucci on that. But let's look. I'm going to go to DraftKings real quick. I'm going to go in their contest. You guys can't see my screen. I will ultimately get to a place where I start sharing the screens. But let's look really quick at one of the single game slates. And what I like to do, they call them showdowns, obviously, on DraftKings. We won't do the Pistons game, so that's going to start in a second. I'm going to do Brooklyn Nets and New York Knicks. So a slate like that. It was kind of weird because it's a weird bit of stuff going on with all their activity today. So let's click on that one. I'm going to get in their thing here. And so what I like to do is everyone's going to do the start. So you think about a single game entry. So this is a contest. This is the NBA 1.5K high five single entry Brooklyn New York showdown. So I look at this. Durant is 16,200 on there. So do I want to captain Durant? Logic would say, oh, let's captain Durant. Nah, I want to go down just a little bit. I said Durant's going to eat, so Durant's going to get me points no matter what. So I want to get a little bit off the owned captain. So let's do this right here. You guys got me. I'm going to put this in right now. We go through this. I'm going to go with let's go with RJ Barrett to be different, right? Then I'm going to come back with Julius Randle, Kevin Durant, right? And then I'm going to go Mitch Robinson, we talked about here on the show, so I can't roster him. So by captaining Barrett and then going Randle and Durant and Mitchell Robinson, leaves 45.50 a player. So then I'm going to come down. We talked about all of this value. So let's get like a guy like Bruce Brown, who I don't really like his game, but he's going to just go run. He's going to be running a lot today. So Bruce Brown, really cheap because obviously his price like a bum, like he kind of is. So Bruce Brown at 3,400 leaves me 5,700. Lots to play with on here. So let me go. I got my choices of players. I'm going to go to the Brooklyn side. I got either Jeff Green or Timothy Luwalu Cabarro. So I will go with TLC. That leaves me $1,500. Enter that right now. Entered. Boom. Just built that lineup just like that. That's how we do. That's how we do. We go ahead and you want to just go a little bit different than the norm in a single game, right? Just a little bit different. Yeah, you can roster Durant, and most people will. And if he goes off, okay. But if he goes off, you just put him in your build and just get different at captain. That's all you got to do. All right, a couple questions. With Horford out, do you like more Roby or Muscala? So Roby's a young guy, and sorry it's 7:00, so missed that lock. But yeah, that was a DK build for you, Kenny, with the question. So Roby or Muscala? I like Roby's athleticism. Muscala's been in the league for a while. You kind of know what he is. I tell you the truth, I don't really like either of them all that much. Roby's got the more upside, could get you more of a ceiling game, and it just depends. If you're playing a cash game, you play Muscala. If you're playing GPP, you play Roby. I mean, that's kind of how it is. You're going for that ceiling in the GPP build. Just going back really quick before we close up shop here, because we have reached the top of the hour. Oh, perfect. So there you go. Yeah, I would prefer Roby in a GPP, Muscala in a cash game. So when we look at doing that single game over on a site like FanDuel, obviously there's not that price differential. So in that case, you still can get different. So let's do that. Oh, you know what? You guys got me going. I'm gonna enter one right now. Enter one right now. Okay, so we're going into lobby. We're going to the NBA. We're going to single game. Let's see if they got that Brooklyn Knicks game up here. Let's see here. Let us see what we got here. All sorts of slates. Okay. No shortage of slates, right? That's why it's okay if you miss a slate, right? Because there's just lots out there. So I'm looking at Brooklyn, and New York. Actually, this looks like this is a different tournament. Hold on, let me get back. All right, I'll go back. Let's go to single game again. On the fly, the beauty of live broadcasting. Love it. Let us see here. The NBA single game. I like the question though, because it's a lot of people are making really good bucks off single game because there's inefficiencies in terms of the pricing and how that all works. And let's go Brooklyn, New York. I'm following it there. Took me a second. That's my old man coming out right there. My kids make fun of me with the old man, like, Dad, you don't know that? So okay. So, the difference between single game on FanDuel and DraftKings, right? So FanDuel, they don't have the price differential at a captain spot or MVP spot. So again, do you want to put Durant MVP? You can, but everyone's going to do that. So let me get a little different. I put RJ Barrett at a captain on DraftKings, but on FanDuel, let's go Randall at the MVP spot. Let's go Kevin Durant at star, and then go RJ Barrett at pro. That leaves me for the last two spots, $8,000. Again, lots of value on a slate like this. This game starts at 7:30, so you guys could throw this in the lineup or so. So you have a lot of players on Brooklyn here that are affordable. We talked about Joe Harris getting buckets. Let's see if he gets buckets and put him in the lineup. 7,000 left. So where do I go for some value from the Brooklyn Nets? Oh, there he is. I can't get away with it. I saw him in the Pistons, and he has a lot of energy, but not liking his game. But I'm gonna use him on DFS. Bruce Brown, let's go. $1,000 left. That makes us different. We left a little bit of cash on the table. We're different at MVP. We changed it up a little bit. Enter that lineup. Boom, done. All right, that's how we do the single game. That's how we end up being a little bit different than that. So just a little stuff there for you. So okay. It is after 7:00. I am going to close up shop. I appreciate you all joining in. As this goes on, please leave comments, reviews, thumbs up, like it, follow, subscribe, tell a friend. We come at you every Wednesday throughout the NBA season from part of Zilla Sports Network. Hoops Hysteria, the name of the show. We love having you. Much appreciated. Much love. Be profitable tonight. If you have any questions, you find me at Twitter at Zilla Sportsnet or at Spartanzilla. Either one can get at me. Again, Instagram, all those places you can find us. So with much love, peace, and go ahead and get some props and get some cash tonight. Take it easy, guys.